Hey guys, it's Chris, and we're back with another Game of Thrones Season 8 video, and I'm back with Val from Because Geek, the Queen in the North, because she's in Canada, and we're continuing our Game of Thrones...
Oh, I just got that.
Oh, she's a little slow, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey. Right.
We're continuing our Game of Thrones Season 8 character prediction series, and today we're doing the Stark sisters. So here today on my channel, we'll be talking about Arya and what we think is going to happen in Game of Thrones Season 8. So take it away, Val. Tell us everything that's going to happen down to the T, and get it all right, or you'll be flamed in the comments.
Alright, so with that pressure on, where did we last see Arya? Let's start with that, okay? Just something easy. We last saw Arya killing Littlefinger, alright? Slashing some throat. And
some throat. Slashing some throat.
And yeah, just basically getting along with Sansa, finally becoming that wolf pack that they're meant to be, and, you know, keeping Winterfell safe, nice and warm for when Jon and Dany arrive.
Yeah, so we got the teaser, of course, where we saw Dany arriving in Winterfell, and Sansa says, you know, Winterfell is yours. We're going to rhyme with Season 1 a lot, Episode 1 specifically. And a quick note there, Arya was not in that scene. A lot of people have issues with that, like, is she there? Is she going to be late like Season 1? Did she not feel it appropriate to be there? Is she out doing something else? So what's going on in Episode 1 when they all arrive? And we got to have that separate reunion. I think me and you have talked about this before, Val. We can't have Dany coming in and then Jon and Arya have their little reunion in front of everyone. They have to have it separately, I think. I think it's too much. It means too much. These two haven't seen each other since Season 1.
Yeah, I agree with some people that maybe Arya was too short for the frame, but at the same time...
that makes sense.
But yes, no, I absolutely believe that Arya and Jon have to have their own separate reunion. I mean, it's gotta be special, it's gotta be emotional. It can't just be like, oh my god, Arya, hey, how you doing? And then Dany comes in and takes up all of the attention of the scene. It's just weird. That's not the way a writer should write it. I mean, it's the way it would happen in real life, but we're talking about a show here. So things have to happen in a specific way for the audience to enjoy what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, if she's then in that scene, you know, they're going to have the little hug moment. So they have to have this, you know, alone time, so to speak, to kind of parallel with Season 1 and rhyme, and they get together and they talk about their experiences, what's been going on, stories about Needle. You know, Jon gave her Needle. So we got to have that alone time. So they definitely have to have that, regardless of how it happens when Dany and Jon actually arrive at Winterfell. But we have other big reunions with Arya. You know, she spent a lot of time with the Hound, and he's going to Winterfell too. So you have all these reunions we're looking forward to, and that's going to be interesting to see. You know, she left him to die, but of course the Hound heard about Arya surviving last year with Brienne at the Dragon Pit. He had a little smile on his face. So I think that's going to be really interesting too. It's not just the Jon thing, but, you know, Arya and the Hound as well.
Yeah, so I really wonder if Arya is going to be shocked, or is she going to be like, yeah, I kind of knew you were too tough to die type of thing, you know?
So sorry, I thought
Okay,
she's trying to be quiet. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I think because she said, "Are you going to die?" and he's like, "Aye, you know, unless there's a maester behind that rock." So right. I don't know. She may be surprised because he took a hell of a ass whooping in a fall.
Yeah.
So he got lucky as hell with Brother Ray in the show.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that shock in her face and just like a nice reunion, because they started to get along in the end, you know? This is different from the books. I know a lot of people say in the books they didn't have that good of a relationship, but in the show you can tell that...
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they pretty much confirmed last year as well with the whole Waves thing that she removed the Hound from the list. So she's not on the list. And we'll get into more of is she going to continue being an assassin thing here shortly.
So if you guys follow me on Twitter, you might have seen a tweet that I tweeted. Tweeted. It doesn't matter who's wrong or right, just tweeted. Beat it. Tweeted. Beat it. If you guys follow me on Twitter, you might have seen a tweet that I posted recently where I said that I was pumped to see Arya meet the dragons, and that is one of the reasons why I think Arya will not be able to dislike Dany for too long, because she's gonna be all giddy about the dragons.
I totally agree. I said this in a live stream, I think it was, or maybe it was I think I said it in the teaser breakdown video, that at first there's going to be drama between everybody, but Arya will take to Dany a lot faster, I think, than Sansa, for example. She respects warrior women, like Brienne, for example. We saw that last year with the whole little sparring in the yard. Not to mention back in season 2 with Tywin, she actually mentions Aegon and Rhaenys and Visenya and Dark Sister.
Visenya Targaryen was a great warrior. She had a Valyrian steel sword she called Dark Sister.
Are most girls more interested in the pretty maidens from the songs? Jonquil, flowers in her hair?
Most girls are idiots.
So she has some respect for these lady warriors, and to understand when she learns especially what Dany's done so far as flying up north, saving Jon, riding dragons, just riding a damn dragon, she's going to freaking love it. So at some point, she's going to really respect her, I believe, once she learns who she really is.
Maybe it'll be Arya who will push Sansa to start liking her. I don't know.
I think it actually could be. I think you'll get some, behind-the-scenes conversations after Dany arrives, and, maybe it's nighttime or whatever, and they're off in their chambers, and they have conversations with other lords, for example, and Arya may be the one to persuade Sansa, like, look, check out what she did. Did you hear what Jon said? Because her and Jon are so close, she's going to trust him before anybody else. So. All right, so to go back to some foreshadowing, and obviously a scene that's got to be paid off, in Season 4, I believe, with the Brotherhood Without Banners, we had Arya getting separated from Gendry when she came and essentially bought Gendry for gold to take back and kill him, essentially, to burn him alive. We had Melisandre meeting Arya, and Arya basically putting her on the list at that point. She stole her friend away, one of her closest friends, her companion, and she said, of course, she sees all these eyes, these different color eyes that she's going to shut forever. That foreshadows the Faceless Men and her being an assassin. But she said, we will meet again. So we know they're going to have to pay off this scene. They can't just forget about it. So Melisandre comes back from Valanus or whatever. She's going to end up, I'm not sure if it's in Winterfell or what, but they're going to meet again at some point. So the question is, I guess, does she continue with the list, or is she done with the list? Is she still an assassin, or is she capable of moving past that and trying to understand what Melisandre was trying to do now, since she has this real threat in her face about the whole war for the Dome?
Yeah, well, first I want to say, not to sound too repetitive, but I also get a feeling that Arya might be the one to maybe convince Jon to not push Melisandre away, because when Melisandre comes back, you know how Jon and Davos feel about her. They might need someone there to kind of speak for her or something. Like maybe Arya, Arya will remember her and be like, yo, I had business with her.
No, I agree. I've been saying for a long time, we get all these questions all the time in live streams that, people ask what Melisandre's going to do. I've been saying she's going to die by fire, and I think she'll show back up. Davos wants to kill her. Jon promised to kill her, have her hanged for murder, all that good stuff. But they know if she comes up and says, look, I'm ready to die. I know I'm going to die anyway. I'm here to try to win this thing. I'm trying to fight for the living, that type of thing. They'll let her do her thing, her magical thing, whatever that is, and go out in a blaze of glory, literally. So I think that somebody will talk Jon out of killing her, and that could be Arya. Who knows?
Well, there's also the possibility that Melisandre comes back in the middle of the battle when they can't really stop everything to kill Melisandre. They just kind of have to let her do her thing because they're already in the middle of it.
True, they may not have a choice, but either way, I think she definitely goes out in a blaze of glory, actually helping to win the war.
Yeah, I definitely believe that. It's just I do wonder how, if she does arrive in the middle of the battle, how is she going to meet Arya in that situation, and how that is going to go if she's just doing her thing.
Right. Or think about this. What if we got a what if first over here.
Yes.
Okay, so there's almost a little parallel now though if you think about it, between Melisandre and Arya, because Melisandre, she takes off the necklace and stops drinking the potions. She's somebody else. She's essentially wearing a face, a glamour. Mm-hmm. Arya's now doing the same thing, so she could come back, whether it's Winterfell, whatever. She could get in that way and then reveal herself, and then they could have this conversation about her past and who she was. She was a slave and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And Arya would kind of, empathize with her a little bit more, mm-hmm. because essentially she was a slave and sold into this religion. Yeah. And they could have a conversation and actually get to know one another a bit before, daggers are pulled or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I would love to see a conversation between those two
before
girls.
Somebody burns.
Right. you were asking about Arya's list, and I think she will finish her list off. The only two people she has left are Cersei and the Mountain, and there is no reason to not kill them, you know?
I think she'll definitely, for example, with the Mountain and Cersei, that's almost the same thing now. So it'll be, if that happens as a target of opportunity, she will absolutely take it.
Yeah.
But it's not just solely to go and kill her because she was already going to do that. She was headed to King's Landing, I think.
Yeah.
Hot Pie told her what was going on. She chose to turn north and go see her family. So now this is going to be one of the same as far as at least the Mountain and Cersei, because they're going to have to die.
Yeah, but I also don't think that she will continue to want to kill people. Like, I don't know if she will continue to be an assassin for hire type of thing, but I do think that she just wants to finish off her list and just be done with that part of her life, basically. It kind of reminds me of what Qyburn said about the Mountain when he brought him back to life, because he said he's taken a vow of silence and he won't speak until all of Cersei's enemies have been defeated, or something like that. So it's something like that Arya has taken a vow to not rest until all of her enemies have been defeated.
Yeah, so that would essentially take care of it, and then I agree, I don't think she goes back to some weird... She doesn't work for the Faceless Men. She left the Faceless Men.
Yeah,
so she's not part of that cult anymore. She never really was, if you think about it. And every mission she actually had over there when she was in Bravo, she failed. So she still had that little bit of humanity there, you know, kind of calling. It's like the little angel and devil on the shoulder.
Yeah.
You know, she wanted to do it to kill people. She didn't care, but at the same time, she had this little bit of humanity left, this little bit of Arya Stark, and of course that finally came out when she went home last season anyway, and told Jaqen, I am Arya Stark of Winterfell, and I'm going home, motherfucker, and ain't nothing you can do about it. He just smiled like, okay, good. She made it. I gave her the tools she needed.
Yeah.
She's good to go. So I don't buy the idea that the Faceless Men come after her or anything like that, but so she's not going to be like this continual, this faceless assassin for hire, unless she starts her own little business. I don't know, in Westeros. I guess you could.
She could, yeah.
You know, why not? I mean,
yeah, exactly. All right, so Arya isn't just about her list. Obviously, there is more to her character. She has been built up from season 1 for some purpose. Every character will have their purpose, and Arya's purpose is not to just finish a list. So, can this purpose have something to do with the Valyrian steel dagger? I mean, come on. It has to, right?
Yeah, was that just to kill Littlefinger? You know, I mean,
no,
Bran,
it wasn't.
You know, here's something
wasn't.
interesting. Let me say this really quick. Somebody brought this to my attention. I didn't think about it for a long time. Season 1, Bran is told by Catelyn, you always look at your feet before you lie. Now, when she gets the dagger from Bran, he kind of looks down. I'm not saying it was necessarily that, but it was. He thought about more than just, you know, it's no good for a cripple. You know, I don't know. Was it just to kill Littlefinger? I've been saying for a long time that thing comes back into it. I don't think it's necessarily the key to the whole thing. It's not like a light bringer or whatever. But yeah, I mean, something else is going to happen with that dagger.
Yeah. I mean, like, the way Bran gave it to Arya, like, he was hesitating. You know, he gave it to her kind of like, I don't know, just looking
like
weird.
It may be used on him?
Yeah, like, maybe. I mean, that's how he would act if he
right.
had to be
and then maybe
him,
that was
right?
the purpose. Littlefinger said this dagger was initially meant for you. Maybe in the end of this damn story, it's got to end up being meant for him, like, and actually going through with it this time.
And it almost killed him one time. Maybe it's, again, destiny. This dagger has always been meant to kill him. I don't know, man. I really didn't like this idea for a long time, but lately after watching that scene again, it's just... There's something about this dagger and its connection to Bran and Arya and
yeah, was it Aegon's or something like that? The original Aegon's. I know a lot of people have questioned that. I mean, that would be fine, it'd be cool, but it don't have to be. There was probably 1 million of those daggers back in the day. But yeah, there's something coming up with that dagger, something else besides just cutting Littlefinger's throat. Probably related to Cersei of the Mountain, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about that because there's something I need to get into that I need to explain properly before I get into it. But before I get into that, I wanted to say real quick, just bring up this scene from season 1, episode 1. The first thing we see of Arya and Bran together is Arya beating Bran at archery. And I think there's something in there. There's some meaning in there because every time that we see Bran in one of his dreams being visited by the three-eyed raven, he's holding a bow. And maybe it was just back to that one scene, like almost the only scene where we saw him walking, although that can't be true because we also saw him climbing. But it was always him with a bow aiming at the three-eyed raven. Remember that Jojen told him you can't kill him because it's you. And then we've seen Arya showing off her archery skills. And then we've seen Gendry talking about making, arrow tips for the Brotherhood without banners, which could come back later on. Again, I don't know. There's something about this archery thing tying Arya with Bran, and it could also be tied to this dagger. Maybe they tie the dagger to like the tip
to a
of
scorpion
an
bolt
or
type
something.
thingy. But you brought up a
Inside
key
Arya.
person there as far as reunions and possible futures and outcomes for Arya. Gendry.
Ooh,
Gendry,
right.
a big reunion. I mean, hey, he said it. You'd be my lady. Now, I don't know. I'm still not 100% on, like, Arya said specifically, no, that's not me. When Ned said, one day you'll rule your husband's castle and all that kind of stuff. You'll be the lady, marry a lord, whatever. She was like, no, that's not me. But she parallels Lyanna Stark so much. She said the same shit. She was the tomboy. She loved to fight, ride horses, and she fell in love with Rhaegar. It's possible. Now, I know it might be fan service to some people, but it could happen where she, love is love. She can't help it, right? Could she actually, end up in the end of this thing, assuming they survive, settle down? They don't have to be Gendry, but just settle down and actually be a lady, almost like Sansa and Arya's roles reversed a little bit or something.
Yeah, so I mean, I will have to say what I've said in other videos recently, that I don't think Arya will have children. I don't think she's going to change, and I don't think she's going to fall in love with anyone, not Gendry. And this might be a bit controversial to say, because I was also the one to believe that, Arya and Gendry were a thing, and I shipped them together like no one else, and they're an awesome couple. And then the more I looked into their relationship, the more I started to realize that it was a lot like siblings type of thing, more than a romantic thing. Like, they had that one scene where Arya saw Gendry shirtless and she was like checking him out, but
she did. She was like, starting to get interested in boys at that age.
Right. But I don't know. I feel like Gendry and Arya may just be, like friends, like family. Like she might have only thought of him as part of her pack. And so
I can definitely see that. I mean, I don't think it has to be Gendry necessarily. I'm just throwing it out there as an idea, because Lyanna was, she's even in the book, she's a definite, like, almost a copy of the she-wolf, Lyanna, so Lyanna was that, that warrior type, and then ended up falling in love. So it could happen. I'm not saying it has to be Gendry. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of people that think Gendry could end up with Sansa. That's another theory. We'll talk about that in the video on your channel. But anyway, it's still, I'm still 50-50. Does she just always, what are her options, right? It's either to stay alone and become, this assassin, or just badass warrior who goes west of Westeros for the hell of it, or death, or she does actually fall in love and settle down somewhere, maybe in Storm's End, maybe in Winterfell, whatever, who knows. But it's a possibility. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I think I like the idea that she's just going to go off on adventures after everything's done. Or she might just help raise Jon's child. That's another idea that I've been playing with in my videos. And either helping raise Jon's child, or just going on adventures, maybe with Gendry, who knows. But remember that another thing that the actress Maisie Williams, she posted that thing of her last scene, and it wasn't her last scene, it was just the last scene that she recorded. Doesn't mean it was the last scene that she was in. But she also said that, I think she was referring to that scene where she said that Arya was alone, again, like she always is. So that kind of sounded like maybe she will end up just going off and doing her own thing. Because, again, she's just not... She's wild.
So yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot more lately too, as far as the whole, west of Westeros thing, going off on her own, doing other things. After reading Fire and Blood, we have Alyssa Farman in Fire and Blood, who is a lady who actually, ironically enough, stole the 3 dragon eggs from Dragonstone back in the days of King Jaehaerys. That ended up being Drogon and Viserion and Rhaegal, of course, back in our current story. So that's pretty cool. But she actually sailed west of Westeros We find out in that book as well that there's 3 other islands there that we didn't know about before. I believe it's southwest of Westeros, and she named those islands apparently Aegon, Visenya, and Rhaenys after the 3 heads of the dragon. And then apparently she was spotted, possibly, she was never heard from again, but she was possibly seen in a Shai later on as well, which indicates that you can actually reach a Shai by going west. Obviously, it is a globe, but that maybe that's a little parallel too, that he's throwing back in this Fire and Blood history as somebody who actually does go west of Westeros on adventures all the time.
Yeah, no, yeah, that totally makes sense to me. But we should also remember what we talked about in our last collaboration. Tweeted. When we said that Arya may be part of Sansa's queen.
Right.
And we will talk more about this in the Sansa video, but that's another possibility for Arya. I mean, she's got the skills now to be a warrior. She could definitely be in Sansa's Queensguard with
I think that makes sense. That's what kind of goes back to what I was saying. Like, does she settle down and fall in love? Does she have some kind of position that's, warrior-like? Will there still need to be that type of thing after this whole thing's over? Who's left? Who knows? But it makes sense. It fits her style.
Yeah, okay, and another thing that we also mentioned in that video was Arya potentially killing the Hound. We're still thinking this
yeah,
might happen?
That was more of a Hound prediction, but we're not saying like murder, we're saying mercy. Yes, mercy killings. We'll link all this in the description, but anyway, yes, we were saying that because we had that big scene back in season 5, that Arya learned where the heart is.
You remember where the heart is.
And maybe the Hound gets injured in this fight with the Mountain or whatever, and she's there as well, which I do think, I'm starting to buy more into that whole idea that the Hound and Arya teaming up against the Mountain.
We come across my brother. Maybe we can both cross a name off a list.
That she mercy kills the Hound, who is severely injured again, and remembers where the heart is. So anyway, that's what we're referring to.
And it might have been foreshadowed when Arya tried to stab the Hound with needle, and it didn't go through because of the armor that he was wearing.
Right.
Yeah.
The greatest swordsman who ever lived didn't have a fucking sword. Sorry.
It was so good.
So one other thing I wanted to mention really quick before we get out of here and wrap this Arya video up is, I've said for years now that the direwolf names have meaning. And, we had the whole Nymeria thing, right? We just mentioned that before. She named her after this warrior queen, which is kind of, the idea is that what they name their direwolves kind of give you a hint as to what they're going to be, the Stark kids. So Jon became a ghost, Sansa could become a lady, whatever, or at least she wants to be. Arya becomes this warrior queen like Nymeria. So and a quick shout out to Grey Area. We did a video a while back on the Winterfell and all that good stuff, and she threw a little twist in there as well that I really liked. Since Lady died in place of Nymeria, we'll talk about this more, but Sansa could die in the place of Arya. So basically what I'm saying here is I think overall Arya survives this whole thing. Not to mention, I think Arya is the favorite of George's wife. So you can't kill her off. Happy wife, happy life.
But I do like that parallel with Nymeria, and how Nymeria saved her people, and how Arya might actually help save the people in Westeros as well from the Night King. She might be the one to help people in Winterfell escape through the crypts, which is a theory that's been going
with a little small tunnel there.
So it could be that. And then, so I have 2 more things to say. One that is a crazy theory, one of my maybe tinfoil. I don't think you could call it tinfoil, but it's something that we might not see because it's just so out there, but I still want to see it. And it's kind of related to tying Arya to Nymeria, but it's more like tying Arya to Visenya, riding a dragon. I really want to see Arya ride a dragon, but that's not all I'm trying to say here, okay? I think it's not that difficult to see Arya ride one of the dragons, maybe just for fun because, she's giddy about them or whatever, and Dany lets her do. Because in the show, anyone can ride the dragons, apparently, you don't have to bond with them. They can be used as bus service.
I guess, yeah, that's true. But, I mean, I don't know. They're riding, so they're not really controlling. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
I think just the fact that Arya loved Visenya so much, and also it's really cool that Visenya had that Valyrian steel sword that was called Dark Sister, and Arya herself is a Dark Sister. And also just tying that to the fact that it's been foreshadowed that the dragon battle that we will see, for sure we've got to see this in season 8, will be similar to the Dance of the Dragons battle, where someone
Daemon
else will be the other
Targaryen.
dragon.
Yes.
Right. So what if freaking Arya does this with her dagger?
Ah,
if she jumps off the dragon.
and over the God's Eye, the battle over the God's Eye again. It's going to come back full circle.
Right, so that is one of my craziest theories, that I just want to see Arya jump off of the back of a dragon that Jon is riding and stab someone with that dagger. Could be the Night King, could be, I don't know. But the other thing I wanted to talk about is, this is something that I've talked about in videos like way back. I told you guys that it's very important to notice what the scene's connections are. So which scene cuts to which other scene. And I noticed this just from watching a lot of TV shows and movies. I started to realize that the scriptwriters usually connect scenes in this way. So if someone's talking about a person in one scene, the next scene will have that person. It's 90% of the times this happens. I started to watch this course on scriptwriting for television, and this guy, Aaron Sorkin, I think is his name, he's really, really good scriptwriter, he mentioned it, and I was so excited. So it finally confirmed that I was correct in thinking this, that it is a thing. It's not a rule of script writing, but it's kind of like best practice to connect one scene to another, to answer one question scene with the next scene. One of the things that happened a lot to prove this point was Arya killing Littlefinger. That was foreshadowed like crazy. If you guys go back and watch season 7, every Littlefinger scene is either followed or it has an Arya scene before it. Before or after Littlefinger, there's always Arya. Every time. And until Arya finally kills Littlefinger. So they make these connections, okay? And so what can we do with that? Well, we can find what other connections have not had a payoff yet. You know? I'm running out of breath.
Relax, calm down. Breathe. Getting fired up, everybody.
So while looking through Arya's scenes, I found a few connections, and some of them were connections between Arya and Cersei with a knife involved, okay? So that could be foreshadowing that Arya will use a knife on Cersei, or will kill Cersei. There is one in season 1 where we have a Cersei scene that cuts to Arya doing that, stabbing the table with a knife. There is also another Arya scene that cuts to the Valyrian steel dagger on the book, which turns out to be a scene where Cersei comes into the room and talks to Ned. There's a lot of those, okay? If you guys really pay attention to these, it's really cool what you can find. The thing is, don't think that every single scene connection has a meaning. If you see that a character has a scene like next to another character a lot, something's gonna happen. And so one of the connections that I found was Arya and Daenerys. There's a lot of Arya and Dany scenes together, like back to back. But Arya and Dany, yeah, definitely something there.
Very cool. So, ultimate final say here. Arya lives. We both agree. She lives. She survives the Game of Thrones. And are you saying she goes on adventures? Or are you more leaning towards she's still in Westeros with her family, or maybe Queensguard or something here locally?
First, before that, I want to say that like her purpose is probably something with that dagger, maybe killing Bran or Cersei or something with that dagger.
I don't think it's the Night King himself as far as like winning the war, right? I think that's Jon's role. If you start doing this other stuff with Arya or even whoever, it takes away from the Song of Ice and Fire. So yeah, she'll kill a White Walker. I don't doubt that at all, but I don't think it can be the Night King. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
So yeah, and after she's done her purpose, or like saving people like Nymeria did, I think, yeah, it's hard to say which one, but it's gotta be either she goes on adventures or she becomes Sansa's Queensguard. One of those two.
Makes sense to me. So anyway, I guess we're done. I think that's it. Are we good?
Yeah.
All right. So there's a lot of stuff there, a lot of possibilities, but we're trying to run through it all. So anyway, let us know what you think in the comments below. What's going to happen with Arya Stark in season 8? And after you get done with this video, of course, jump over to Val's channel and see the video we just did on Sansa. So thank you, Val. Thank you for coming back. And we will continue to do these. We'll do, I don't know exactly how many. We're just going to keep going, I think, until season 8, until we run out of characters. Yeah. And if you dig what I do here, please give these videos a like, comment, and a share. And of course, be sure to subscribe to get everything. And click that damn notification bell twice, or you still won't be notified when I drop a new video. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.